So now we're a week plus out past the inauguration. So President Trump's in charge and is large, and absolutely no plan to bring down the prices of any groceries or anything we pay for. Repeatedly reinforces his tariff plan that's supposed to begin in another week or two. Sometime in February, I remember him saying someplace. 25% tariffs on everything from Canada, which includes a big chunk of our fuel that we burn in our vehicles. So when your gas prices go up, you can thank Trump's economic plan for that. Cannot blame that on Biden, though many people will try to do that. Biden's no longer in charge, remember? He controls nothing now. Probably even less now than he did when he was in the White House, because I'm sure his wife's basically babysitting him these days. Such that it is. Meanwhile, we're still making threats against many of our neighbors, including classifying the cartels as terrorist organizations, which, I have to be honest here, I always thought they were considered a terrorist organization. And how come they weren't designated as one many, many decades ago is interesting. Not surprising, but interesting. But what the hell do I know? What I do know is YouTube has a number of ex-former Delta Force type fellas doing podcasts, and more than a few of them are saying that America's going to get its ass whooped. It's going to get its clock cleaned by the cartels. If they send in the Delta Force boys or any other special force guys and gals, specifically guys, because the new regime absolutely do not want women in any position except on their knees and pregnant. Get pissed all you want. It's them saying that. It's obvious as the sun coming up in the freaking east. But what do I know? I'm just a dumbass. I was an average C- student through high school. I was pretty damn good, pretty high up in my grades when I went to college, but that was a different time, right? College that never panned out for me, that I never could find a job with the degree that I was told would be a good thing to match my personality and skills. Right? Okay, so it is what it is. So, we're going to send our military forces into many different countries of South America on President's whim. Keeping and forgetting that the cartels have thousands of people up here, and not all of them are Mexican, and a lot of them are American. So, if they think the fighting is only going to, be in the jungles of Peru or something, yeah, well, we'll see. I do not believe it'll work out that way. It's long past time for America to have an ass whooping of its own on its own shores. I hate to say that, but we're going to bring it on ourselves. They're trying to bring us into that scenario. Our country's on the downslide. We don't have to like it. But we don't acknowledge that we're not all that in a bag of chips anymore. We're going to be on our backs crying. And mostly because of our own ignorance and arrogance and hubris. I know those are fancy words, but I read a lot. Terrible thing, that idea of being able to read it, put 2 and 3 and 4 words together, make a sentence, and then actually have an imagination that can view what I'm seeing in my mind. Excuse me for that kind of stuff. It just... trying to get my head around all the different crap that's going on. So, 2 days ago, he tried to impound $3 trillion worth of money already in the budget, already passed and signed by Biden for the budget. Money that's required for Medicaid. And I don't know how many of you have thought this through and thought about it. Google this. A lion's share of nursing homes in America depend on Medicaid funding to stay open. If you take that funding away, those places will not be able to feed those old people, let alone look after them, because their staff, majority of their staff don't get a check. They're going home and look for another job. Sucks to be all those old people. So, hey, Junior and Missy, if you got your mom or grandma stashed away somewhere, you might want to start clearing out that back room, because Trump ain't done with that stuff. He rescinded the memo, not the order to the department heads to not spend money. I'm hearing that the Medicaid portal's having all kinds of trouble being accessed and all kinds of problems. Meanwhile, everything from grandma's crappy lunches, no offense, Meals on Wheels, my mom got suckered into those Meals on Wheels, and they sucked to high hell. They always tasted terrible. They were so bland and so cold and funky or soggy. My mom hated them. And she was supposed to have in-house, somebody's supposed to come by the house once every week, check on her. They never did. There was a couple other things they were supposed to do. The only thing I do know was my mom got some crappy meals and nothing, or very little else that I noticed. And my sister and I ended up paying $54,000 back to Medicaid out of mom's estate. So after it was all done and said, and we paid all of mom's debt and bills and frickin' everything else, my sister and I split. My sister got $8,000, I got $4,000. That's basically how it rolled down. And my daughter got $1,000. That's how mom wanted it in the will. My daughter got $1,000. My sister and I split the $16,000 there, or the $17,000. We split the last $16,000, and then I owed some back child support, so they took that. So I ended up with $4,000. While I was homeless or one step away from homeless in an old RV. Nobody gives a shit. Okay, so now Trump, while we're not paying attention, has gutted the labor board. The people that mediate on behalf of us, the workers of America, can now no longer function because they don't have a complete quorum because the president eliminated the Democratic side of it. Meanwhile, just here a few days ago, he was talking about getting rid of FEMA altogether, and the states should take care of their own problems. Well, okay. I live in the state of Iowa. It'd be a red state for the moment, although I think MAGA people here forget that Iowans are pretty solid people, and we think for ourselves. It might take us a minute to wait, to get that thought through the head. But we're pretty practical people. We're likely to flip back to blue really soon. We've already had one of the red, long-term, well-seated red House seat flipped to a blue. Imagine that. Okay. But we have enough revenue in this state to cover a lot of problems. Unlike a lot of red states elsewhere, who depends, most of your state budget can, what is it, Louisiana, Mississippi for sure, a big, huge chunk of everything that your state does comes from the federal government, including a big chunk of Medicaid, food stamps, WIC, road projects, maintenance. Jesus, the list is staggering. $3 trillion. And Trump wants to deny that to you and me, my fellow Americans, the lower half of this country. They're literally telling you what they want you to do. They want you to die. They want you to work until you're dead. And if you can't work, go die somewhere. That's what they want us to do. You got a healthcare system that's a sham. It's a literal freaking Ponzi scheme of some sort. It is a scam. We pay an awful lot of money all our lifetime for these programs, but when we need them the most, we get the middle finger, or we get the dance around the corner. Now, that's funny, because my mom, when she got diagnosed with lymphatic cancer, had Medicare, and she was able to get all the processes and everything she needed done. As a matter of fact, she was in remission. The only reason she passed away at 71 is because she tripped, fell, and hit her head on one of them solar light globes. And that's how my wife and I found ourselves homeless when we had to sell Mom's estate, or get rid of her property. We moved in after Dad passed away to help look after her. So we were put on our back feet and had to start almost from scratch. Anyway, so it's all DEI shit with him now. It's all pure outright racism. You know, I have spent my entire life inside the United States. I have wandered and dreamed and fantasized about what other places would be like. I watched loads of YouTube videos, travel videos, all dangerous roads, because I drive a truck. I'm fascinated to see what other poor bastards I got to deal with in their lives. It's nice to see that I got it easy compared to a lot of other countries and their drivers. But hey, who gives a damn, right? The richest country in the world. Ask yourself, why is that if we're the richest country in the world, our infrastructure, our roads are crap? I drive all over the state of Iowa, in different parts of the state. Some of the main interstates in fairly good shape, but there's rough patches. You get off, further you get away from the main stretch, the harder and rougher the roads get. But you get in town, in the cities, oh my God. Out in the state and the counties and in the countryside, it's the federal dollars that are keeping our road system repaired, not state dollars. There's some state and county funds going into it, yes, but nothing like the federal funding that we get for that sort of stuff. I go down to Missouri, and their roads are halfway decent, and they have bad stretches too. But you get into town, once again, the big city towns, the roads are crap. They beat the crap out of your cars. I've been to Kansas City and St. Louis several times. Kansas City numerous times. Roads suck. They're just as bad as the ones up here. Why is that? Richest country in the world. Why is it the richest country in the world has so many homeless people? People with mental problems. You know, you would think if we're such a Christian nation that we would really want to help these people and understand that not everybody is like us. Not everybody is stupid enough to work their asses off for this fruitless American dream that it's a sham, that the wealthy stole from us. We're the stupid ones, not them. We're the crazy ones, not them. Why pity them? Why not? Isn't that a decent thing to do, considering all the indecent things we do, both as a people and as a country? You no wonder most of the world looks at us in either abject horror or pity. Why would you want to be that kind of reputation? And how is it that we are so, as a nation, is so blind to how we're being viewed by everybody else? Now our allies are looking at us, with both shock and suspicion. What the F happened to you? Are we just actually finally showing the true face of what this country is? I'm afraid that may be the truth. And I'm afraid where that may take us. I wish I was a lot older, then I wouldn't give a shit. I got so angry at my wife's elderly aunt a couple weeks back. And we were talking Christian, they're Baptist. Boring as hell. I've been to their church, Jesus Baptist. Baptist churches, oh my Jesus. How do you gotta be old because Jesus. But I grew up with Pentecostal church, man. It was always something going on in Pentecostal church. It wasn't always sane, but it was something anyway. But Jesus. It's all a part of God's plan. Really? So it was part of God's plan to see 14 million Jews killed during the 40s? And how many tens of millions of other human beings? Well, that was part of God's plan? Or something he just sat back and said, dumbasses, you won't learn until you do. Well, apparently we ain't learned. We can't see each other as just people, as human beings, with all the good and the bad and the indifferent that comes with that. Racist bullshit. Am I a racist? You know what? Yeah, I'm a racist. It's indoctrinated and ingrained into me as a fat, middle-aged white man to stick my nose up at everybody, including my fellow white men. But I'm also empathetic enough, or I don't know, maybe I'm just retarded. But I try to believe that my life has as little meaning as, it's going to have, but everybody's life around us, we're all just trying to get by and do the best we can. Do other people scare me? Hell yes. The older I get, the more they scare me. Women scare me. I'm scared to death to be around women anymore because, well, hello? The modern, no wonder so many young men in this country are lost and have problems. There's so many of us middle-aged and older guys that are lost and have problems. And we don't even dare talk about them for fear of something. And going into neighbors, I've gone into neighborhoods that a lot of white guys would crap themselves in. But I wasn't looking to make trouble. I wasn't invading the turf. I wasn't strutting down the street like my shit didn't stink. I was respectful, like I am try to be everywhere and nowhere. It's getting harder and harder to be respectful to other people. You had a customer I just came from about an hour ago. I had to be there around 6. I can't do this one until after 8 o'clock, so I got time to kill. So when I was there, it's a shitty little restaurant in a shitty little mall that's almost dead. Most of the mall. One time we did most of the mall, the food court. Now there is just 3 places left out of 10 in that food court. And how they stay open and manage their business there is beyond me. You can't even get to the back of the food court hardly anymore without going through a maze of frickin' broken roads and blocked streets and other crap. It's terrible. And the lady's got the same grease box she's had for the 9 odd years I've been doing the job. 4 to 5 times a year, 6 times a year for the last 8 years for sure. That's a lot of trips in there. And she trying to tell me that her trap's only a couple years old. And I'm like, no offense, lady, it is not. And every other time I go in there and I do the thing, she makes the same kind of, well, after you leave, it backed up, I had a mess and I had to fix something. Okay, your trap's old and full of it's crap. It's rotting out. Pieces are breaking off and floating down your pipes. It's not hard, but that's not my fault. All I did is take the lid off, put a hose in it, and suck out the shit inside. That's all I do. Not hard. It's not complicated. And I don't have any, I don't give a rat's whatever about her damn trap. I ain't doing anything to it. And if me cleaning it out stirs up crap and causes her a plug, then that's on her problem, not mine. Because, once again, I'm not a plumber. I just pump the stuff out of the box. So when I'm waiting here, I'm sitting out back of an IHOP. They got 3,000 gallons. Truck holds 25. Trip and a partial. Thankfully, it'll be warm enough tonight that I can leave the partial in the truck and not worry about having an ice block in it tomorrow. Meanwhile, so Trump shuts down all this funding, causes instant chaos all across the board. We're also going to have RFK Jr. running the FDA and Medicare. That terrifies me in many different ways. Now, to be fair, some of what he says makes effing perfect sense, and he's not wrong. Teddy Roosevelt would be furious with how our Food and Drug Administration has allowed things to become. Most of our food is not healthy for us. Most of it is so full of chemicals and junk and garbage to make them last longer, to them stay fresher, to make them look nicer, whatever, that it's slowly, poisoning all of us. And they've known this, like cigarettes, they've known this for a long, long time. And nobody seems to give a shit. Well, let's clean some of that up. By all means. But some of the other stuff he wants to do, well, would just ban. He doesn't. I don't want to. I don't want to ban vaccines. I just want to make. I don't want them to be mandatory. Well, no offense, fucknut. Some things have to be mandatory. They just have to be. Take taxes, for example. Would you pay taxes if you didn't have to? Be honest, America. Would you pay taxes if you didn't have to? Well, there's somebody in Trump's circle keeps shouting in his dumbass ear about eliminating the federal income tax. No, the federal tax is all. So the tariffs, my friends, the massive sales tax that these will be on us, it will be how we'll fund our government. Because in his delusional mind, these tariffs are being paid for by China and Canada and frickin' damn Mexico. Are you serious? It's like that thing with Colombia the other day. I was heartened by the Colombian president standing up to Trump, then sadly disappointed, though I wasn't really surprised that he caved and reworded whatever he needed to word to kiss Trump's ass, because Trump going to put 50% tariffs on Colombia. Well, 20% of your coffee, America, comes from Colombia. If nothing else, that ought to make a dent in the cost of frickin' coffee. So the Colombians import quite a bit of stuff from us, but the 50% thing, oh no. So the Colombian president buckles, and this sends the wrong kind of message to an idiot like Trump. Now it just reinforces his misguided belief that tariffs are a powerful thing to be used like a club. They're meant to be used like a scalpel, as my understanding of them. But once again, I'm a C average student. What the hell do I know? I'm just a dumbass. Just a dumbass. Trying to get by in a shit world that just gets shittier and shittier every frickin' month. Tell me I'm wrong. Are you doing better than you were 20 years ago? 10 years ago? Don't look back 4 years. Don't look back 8 years. Go back 10, 20. Shouldn't you be in a better position, a better place than you are now? I know where I screwed up. I see it as plain as day. That is part of my penance, my punishment. My cross to bear is being clear-eyed about where I screwed up in my life. And you can't go back. And I have accomplished a lot in the last 8 years. 8 years. I went from being flat on one leg buried in the ground to at least standing on my feet. Even if I'm leaning into this economic windstorm, just wanting to blow us all to effing hell, I went from getting off a bus with a $10 bill in my pocket. I still have that $10 in my wallet. I do. What I was carrying on my back, and 2 boxes of personal crap. So I guess I had quite a bit of crap. My sister picked me up. Took me to a hotel. I stayed in that hotel for 2 weeks. It was $300-400 a week to stay in that hotel. I couldn't do that for an entire month. It was just too much. So I borrowed an old car from my mom, and I slept in it for 4 months. Now, the 2 weeks I was there at the hotel, I used that to get my damn driver's license reestablished. I had lost my license from inactivity, so I was out of commission for a bit. I had to go get my license back, and then I got my job working for my boss, working for the outfit I work for now. And in fact, they were so desperate for help. It's normal now. I look at it, and it happens so much and so often. Some months are better than others. Sometimes some years are better than others. But there's always a problem with help. It's a nasty job that nobody wants to do. And my boss, he won't hire Mexicans. I don't think we've had one Mexican working for us in 9 years. Now, that may not be true. That may not be true. I don't sit there and stare at everybody, because I don't work with them directly. The hood guys are a different branch, if you will. I'm by myself. So I saved and I worked my ass off, and I worked as many hours as I could get. And some days I was working 17, 18 hours. And when I wasn't working, I was running my mom back and forth because she lived in a small town about 30 minutes east of Des Moines. And so I would run her 3-4 times a week into Des Moines for her chemo or for some other medical related thing. At that same time, my wife had her epilepsy progressed, and there was a change in management at the local convenience store she worked at, and the new management absolutely could not cope with her having seizures. So they wrote a letter saying they felt she was liability and let her go. And they did it in such a way we didn't think we were, she was getting victimized. Doesn't matter, does it? Nobody gives a shit. Well, it took us 6 months to get her on disability. If you know anything about disability, then you'll understand that she was diagnosed at the age of 5 of having epilepsy, and her seizures were well documented. So 6 months, she was on full disability. And I'll let you know, she worked for that company for 20 freaking years, and she had jobs before that. So she paid for her share. She paid into that entitlement program like the majority of us did. So she's damn well entitled to that money. She earned it. And she still hates the fact she can't have a regular job. She hates it. And sitting at home all the day by herself, it's taking its toll, both on her mentally and physically. I could see it. We're both getting old, so who gives a shit, right? Who cares? Just my little world. Nobody gives a shit. Meanwhile, our fearless leader just up and commutes and pardons over 1,500 homegrown terrorists. He just proved the farce that is the judicial system in this country. How much bullshit is that? I'm just asking, how much bullshit is that? Well, it is now at 8:04. I'm going to end this crap video. Probably get it posted sometime this weekend. Go start the truck back up. Go out there. Pop that manhole. Do this nasty job that 90% of you would never do. Take my $19 an hour and figure out how the hell I'm going to fix the broken pipe under the slab of my house without money. Wish I was still 30.